Hi, welcome back to Manohar Academy. In this lesson, we are going to learn about abstract methods and abstract classes. In the previous lessons, we have seen that we can create the common code in the superclass and all the subclasses can inherit that. When we have seen the student has personal details and also the employee has personal details, we created a superclass called person, and in that person we have kept all the personal details, and the subclasses that are student and employee, they were inheriting all those features, all those behavior from the superclass. So when we start moving the common code to the superclass, sometimes we end up with a method in the superclass for which we cannot provide the implementation. So in those cases, we end up with abstract methods. What is an abstract method? A method that doesn't have any implementation is called abstract method. Why are we not able to provide the implementation? Because it is so generic, it is so abstract. The concept or the function or the method or the behavior is so abstract, we cannot provide it in the superclass. So whenever a class has such kind of abstract method, the class itself must declare itself as abstract class. So any class, if it has abstract method, the class must be abstract class. Okay, having said that, let's say we have a class and it does not have any abstract methods. But the class thinks, okay, I doesn't have any abstract methods, but I think my concept is very abstract, I should be abstract. So a class that doesn't have any abstract methods can be declared as abstract class. That is okay. Now, so if the superclass has those abstract methods, whenever we create subclass, obviously the subclass will inherit all those abstract methods. So the subclass ended up with those abstract methods. So the subclass should provide the implementation for the abstract methods that it inherited. If it provides the implementation, it can say I am not an abstract class, because okay, I inherited all those abstract methods, but I provided the implementation, so I am no longer abstract class. But if the subclass which is inheriting all those abstract methods, if it doesn't provide the implementation for even one abstract method, then it itself will end up with that abstract method, and it itself should be declared as abstract class. We are going to see all those things. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain each and every of these points. Also, two more points. If a class is abstract, we cannot create objects of that particular abstract class. Let's say person is abstract. The class person is abstract class. We cannot create abstract class objects, because if we create object, obviously you should be able to invoke methods on that object, and one of those methods may be abstract. You don't have implementation, so what will you do? You can't do anything. So for that reason, a abstract class objects cannot be instantiated. But we can create the reference variables and let them point to the objects that are subclasses or concrete subclasses of that particular abstract class. Okay, that is all we can do with the abstract class reference variable. Okay, let's go to IDE and clearly see when we end up with abstract methods, how they will create abstract classes. So in the previous lesson, if you remember, we created a class called person, and we basically removed all other fields or all other behavior for the simplicity. The person has first name, the student extends person, so he has a name and admission number. The employee extends person again, so he also has a name and employee number. Then in the test class, we created a person, we created a student, we created employee. Then we kept all those three objects in a array of persons, and we called some print person details method that will print all three objects in a string format. So let's execute this. So this is the same class that we left in the previous class. Okay, same code. Now I want to make sure I am able to cover the occupation for these people. We know the student's occupation is obviously student. The employee occupation is teacher or professor, something like that. In order to make sure student, employee or whatever subclass that is created from person, meaning every person should have a occupation. To make sure everyone gets that, we can create the method in the superclass, so every subclass will inherit that. So I'm creating a method called getOccupation. Okay, and I am returning a string whatever is his occupation. For now, let me just return blank here, and let me go to student. In student, we know the occupation, so we don't need to return blank or whatever inherited. So let's override that behavior that we inherited. He is a student, so he is going to return student. Let's go to employee, and also let's override the behavior that we received. I am returning teacher. Okay, we know the employee is a teacher, occupation is teacher, and for student, the occupation is student. Now let's talk about the person. The person can be student, can be employee, he can be anything. So I can't provide any implementation here. I can't return anything here. So if I don't return anything, the method will complain saying, okay, you should return the string. But I can't, because I don't know the person is a student or employee or president, or I don't know what person I am talking about. So I can't provide this implementation. I can't return anything, so I can't provide the implementation, and I will simply say I can't do that by ending it with semicolon. Then it says, okay, you don't have implementation, the method itself should be abstract, because a method that doesn't have any implementation is an abstract method. Okay, I did that. Okay, whatever we have seen, we are doing that, right? I mean, we ended up with a method for which I am not able to provide implementation, and that method is abstract method. Because this particular class is having an abstract method, it itself should be abstract. Okay, now the error goes away. But let me say one more thing. Because the class has abstract method, it is abstract class. But even when it doesn't have any abstract methods, for example here, this particular class person doesn't have any abstract methods. But even then it can declare itself as abstract. If the concept of person is abstract, the class itself can be declared as abstract. So we created the abstract method again. Now the student is inheriting the abstract method, but it is providing the implementation. So because of that, the student doesn't have any abstract methods. I am repeating the statement. The student inherited one abstract method called getOccupation, but it provided the implementation by overriding it. So now it doesn't have any abstract methods, that doesn't have implementation. So it is not abstract. For example, let's say employee class is not providing the implementation. So what happens? So the employee has inherited one abstract method called getOccupation. If you see the error, it says employee is not abstract and doesn't override abstract method getOccupation in person. So it inherited a abstract method and it is not providing the implementation. So it ended up with that inherited abstract method. So if a class has abstract method, whether that is directly created in the class or whether it is inherited, doesn't matter, because in this case it inherited, so it itself should be declared as abstract. But let's provide the implementation. Okay, we provided the implementation, we are good, no abstract methods, so the class is good. Now coming to test person, I can't create an object of type person because the person is abstract. Okay, let's say we are able to create. On the person class, if I invoke the getOccupation method, what will it do? There is no implementation for this object or for this class. So it can't do anything at that time. So to prevent that, the Java language says you can't create any objects of abstract type. But if you see here, we are able to create reference variable. Here the reference variable is of type array of persons. So we can create reference variables, but they should be pointing to objects of concrete subclasses. So because the student and employee, they are providing the implementation and they are not abstract, they are called concrete classes or concrete subclasses, subclasses of person. So a reference variable should point to a reference variable of type abstract class. It should point to a object of concrete subclass, in this case students and employees. So if we run this, it works fine. We don't get any errors, no compilation errors, and we get the same output. But because again the first object in the array is null, so it is providing null. That is okay. Okay, let's go to the PowerPoint presentation again and let's recap. I'm just going to read the points because we already saw them in IDE. For all subclasses to benefit from inheritance, the common behavior, that is something like getOccupation, is coded in the superclass. As a result, the superclass will end up with abstract methods, in this case getOccupation. A method without implementation is called abstract method, again the getOccupation method. A class that has abstract methods must itself be declared abstract, obviously. Then coming to abstract classes, a class without an abstract method can be declared abstract class. It doesn't need to have any abstract methods to declare itself as abstract. A subclass, in our example the person and the employee, that inherits abstract methods from the abstract superclass should provide the implementation. If it doesn't provide the implementation, then it should be abstract. So if the employee is not providing the implementation for getOccupation, then it should be abstract class. Then we cannot create objects of abstract type, abstract class. In this case person, we cannot create the objects of type person. And reference variables of abstract type can be created. So we have created abstract type reference variable of, that is person, and that reference variable should point to an object of its subtype, that is student and employee. Okay, that is all in this slide, and there is nothing more to learn about abstract methods and abstract classes. One more thing, the abstract method, it cannot be private, because if it is private, the subclass won't see it. Then who will provide the implementation for that? No one can provide the implementation. So abstract methods, they cannot be private. Last but not least, if you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel so that you will get the alerts whenever I upload some videos. Also, if you are benefited from this video, please like it. Also, please share it with your friends so that your friends can watch, they can also learn. That is all from my side. Thank you very much. See you in the next lesson.